Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlicker, shills, desolates, serfs, peasants, vassals, meat sacks, radioactive meat sacks. I'm a useful idiot. Welcome. And let's talk about Fukushima again. It's 2016, and even though 2016 just started, Fukushima, of course, is already one of the big stories of 2016, as it will be for, well, I don't know, maybe in the next 10,000 years. So somebody will have to pick up the slack for me when I die and do these annual reports stretching into the next several thousand years in order to do good coverage of Fukushima. So let's get to the latest on Fukushima, this disaster of disasters that continues to unfold. This last 9 months I was gone, of course, Fukushima didn't stop. It continues doing what it has been doing for 4 years now, which is poisoning the entire planet. This last October, apparently, radiation in the Pacific Ocean reached the west coast, and will keep arriving. So it'll keep coming in waves with this cesium and plutonium that's now reached here. And let's remember that the plumes, the initial plumes that came over from Fukushima, are also filled with this radioactivity. So now we've gotten it from the air and the water, and then we also have these gigantic debris fields. This gigantic warm blob of warm water off the west coast of the United States, and then these huge wildlife die-offs. We continue to have these massive wildlife die-offs, and conveniently scientists say we've never seen anything quite like it, but we know it's not Fukushima. So what I extract from that, of course, is that we've never seen anything quite like this, and it is from Fukushima. And so we have whale die-offs, and seal and walrus die-offs, and sores, and birth defects, and radiation in the tuna, and all this other stuff that I've talked about before. Salmon populations are decimated, and starfish are dissolving, and like I said, we have these huge whale die-offs now as well. And the U.S. Incidentally stopped monitoring these plumes in 2011, so they don't even bother analyzing the air that's coming over from Fukushima anymore. And Japan conveniently also stopped monitoring the seawater because, of course, they don't really want to know. They don't really want to know how much radiation's in there. But anyway, like I say, the big picture continues to get worse. This last December, we also found out that there was a 400,000% increase in radiation under the plant. And that brings us back to the fact that, as I reported before, the gates of hell have opened at Fukushima. We have three confirmed reactor meltdowns now after decades we'll have decades and centuries for the effects from these three reactor meltdowns that will continue to manifest themselves. But the other important point, of course, is that the meltdowns have happened all along. They knew all along, and here it is 3-4 years later, and we know that they have lied about it. And in fact, 2 declassified documents came out from the new U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission from March 2011, and this is 1 week after the tidal wave, and they already knew then that 25% of the spent fuel in Unit 2 was released into the public, 50% of the spent fuel in Unit 3 was expelled, and 100% of the spent fuel in Unit 4. So all this spent fuel has already been expelled, and so the levels of radiation have been staggering for the last 3 to 4 years, as we know. And in fact, to give you an idea, there's more cesium in Unit 4. And Unit 4 is where 100% of the spent fuel went into the environment. There's more cesium in Unit 4 than all 800 nuclear bombs exploded above ground in nuclear testing. So they can downplay the amount of cesium they want, but it doesn't change the fact that it is dangerous. One of the ways they talk about this level of radiation is that it's like getting an X-ray. But there's a big difference between getting an X-ray from the inside as opposed to the outside. So the dangers of these low levels of radiation exist because things are being ingested. So the the planet's oceans already contain a lot of radiation from nuclear bomb tests, and 435 nuclear power plants routinely dump radioactive water into the oceans and the waters, albeit less dangerous isotopes than cesium. So the levels of radiation, of course, are already high in the oceans to a certain degree. So the governments of Japan and the United States, of course, collude to just say that, well, there's radiation in the ocean already, and Fukushima is not really doing any more damage, which, of course, is laughable. 300 tons of cesium-laced water dumped into the ocean every day for the last 4.5 years. 300 tons every day. 850 tons of contaminated storage dumped last September. So there are also all these bags of debris that they've scraped off the surface of the Fukushima prefect, stored in these bags. Typhoons have washed a lot out to sea. A lot of them they just dump. So once again, we're finding all this radioactive material just routinely dumped into the ocean, whether it's water or whether it's soil or debris from Fukushima. And then the big picture, like I've talked about, we already have, after 4 years, this multi-layered radiation zones with 120,000 people dislocated still. 20,000 workers involved in the process still, and black plastic bags litter the countryside, and they say will be moved within 30 years. And to give you an idea, apparently there's still lots of forests and mountains and other terrain that are left unclean because it's so hard to access. So that will remain the way it is now. And then we have 105 towns, cities, and villages that are affected that are theoretically being cleansed. But it involves a massive landfill, 16 to 22 million bags of this debris. And like I say, a lot of it's already getting washed out to sea, and it's only been 5 years, and they're talking about decades and centuries into the future. They don't even know what to do with this stuff. A truck carries 6 to 8 bags at a time. That gives you an idea how large these bags are. A pretty good sized truck only carries 6 to 8 bags at a time, and they have 16 to 22 million of these bags already. So anyway, that's a lot of different sources of radiation that continue to be a problem at Fukushima. And then also recently, interestingly, 16 different robots have been used and failed, and so the capacity and the technology that Japan has, and apparently the rest of the world at this point, cannot even begin to address the rudimentary problems that we have at Fukushima. One is just going in there and finding out exactly what's going on, and I can safely say if and when the whole truth is ever revealed about Fukushima, which is certainly doubtful, it's going to continue to be listed in the annals of history as one of the most horrifying events, with incredibly inhuman lies told to the world about what's really going on there. And then we have a world where not only do we have something like this happening, but we have China planning to build 400 nuclear power plants just themselves in their country. And what could possibly go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? All we have to do is look at Chernobyl. And Chernobyl, the Russian government at the time had a pretty quick response relatively, and they contained the nuclear event at Chernobyl as best they could. And we have a situation in Japan where they continue to leave these 3 nuclear meltdown cores, which are obviously seeping into the earth. If you look at the 100,000% level increase in radiation, that means the cores are going into the earth, and this problem will continue to get worse. And it's hard to say whether we're going to get any information when these worst case scenarios keep piling on top of other worst case scenarios like we have at Fukushima. But amazing amount of lies, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, coming from Japan. The collusion of the United States government and keeping everything quiet, this slowly unfolding web of death spreading across the Pacific Ocean, slow but sure, and then the devastation across Japan that remains 5 years later, will remain for, like I say, decades, centuries, and thousands of years to come. And as they brought up a few years ago, they do not have the technology to deal with this, and it's being proven time and time again. We're like apes trying to sort through this nuclear rubble at Fukushima. The technology does not exist. It will not exist. And so Japan will continue to stumble through this disaster, and the effects will be continue to be felt across the globe. So yeah, Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to all you people in Fukushima, especially. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.